we can put them on a plate. Hi, this is Susan with BakeWithMom.com. Today we're going to make double chocolate treats. We're going to start by melting our chocolate. I have a double boiler here, and if you don't have a double boiler, just check my double boiler alternative help for you online. I'm adding 1 cup of chocolate chips. They're the semi-sweet chocolate chips. And we're going to just let those melt. And while they're melting, we're going to sift our flour and add the other dry ingredients. So this is my flour sifter. I like the crank type versus the other one that has a handle that you press a lever in the handle. Seems to break too much. So I prefer the kind that rolls. So I'm going to sift my flour. So then I'm going to measure 1.5 cups of flour. I like to level it off with a spatula. Here's the 1/2 cup. And here's 1 cup. Okay. So I'm going to put that in a I'm going to show you how to make single-acting baking powder. All of your baking recipes call for baking powder, or most of them, and when you buy it in the store, it's always double-acting, which gives your cookies and cakes a bitter taste. So I'm going to show you how to make single-acting baking powder. You will have to take 2 parts of cream of tartar, 1 part cornstarch, and 1 part baking soda. And I have to tell you in parts because it'll be adjusted for each recipe. The recipe we're making today has 2 teaspoons, which makes it very easy. So that means I will use 1 teaspoon of the cream of tartar, and I like to heap it a little bit. And then we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of the cornstarch. Heat a little bit. And baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon. And that is how you make your own baking powder for baking. I'm going to sift it a little bit, make sure everything gets through, and now we have 2 teaspoons of baking powder for our recipe. So I put the baking powder in here, the baking powder I showed you how to make, and I'm also adding 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And now we're going to add to that 2 cups of oats. And we're just going to kind of stir it around so that the flour and the oats get mixed together. So now I have 1 stick of butter, which is 1/4 pound of butter, and I'm going to beat it at medium speed. And to it, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of sugar, regular granulated sugar. Scrape your sides and get all of the butter down. And now we're going to add 2 whole eggs. I usually use jumbo eggs, but you can use extra large if you'd rather. And To that, we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. I like to use real vanilla extract instead of the imitation. The imitation has kind of a bitter flavor sometimes. It costs a bit more, but it's worth it because it makes your cookies taste so awesome. Now to that, I'm going to add my melted chocolate. Scraping the sides of the bowl so you get all the chocolate. Be sure and scrape the bottom of the bowl once in a while when you use a large mixing bowl, because sometimes your flour and your things don't get all incorporated if you don't do that. Now I'm going to start adding the flour and oatmeal mixture. Be sure and scrape the sides once in a while to get it in. This cookie will be nice and chocolatey because we don't only have chocolate in the dough, but we're going to put some chocolate chips in it when we're through putting in all our dry ingredients. So this should make a nice chocolatey double treat for you. And our flour seems to be doing pretty well on its own, mixing in. When I'm through getting it all in, I'll scrape the sides and bottom to make sure it's all incorporated. And then we'll mix in our chocolate chips. And now we're going to add a cup of chocolate chips. These are going to be whole. So it's like a chocolate chip cookie. And this is semi-sweet chocolate that I'm using. So we're just going to mix it around a little bit so to make sure we get chocolate chips throughout the batter. And now we're ready to put them on the cookie sheet. So while we're putting them on the cookie sheet, we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. All right, so now our dough is all mixed. And what I did is I have powdered sugar in here. And sometimes if you get powdered sugar straight out of the bag, you have to break up the lumps a little bit. So I've broken it up with a fork. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a ball. And I'm going to roll it in the powdered sugar, and I'm going to press the powdered sugar on so it's heavily coated and put it on my cookie sheet. Now you want them about 2 inches apart so that they have room to spread, because they may spread a bit. Be sure and press your powdered sugar on so it's a nice thick coating. And I'd say they're a little bit more than an inch. The balls that I've made. You can make them an inch. Oh, that one's too big. So we've got a pan full now. And we're going to put these in the oven at 350 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. The reason the variation is because sometimes you have a higher altitude and you have to adjust your temperature. For me, I'm going to do it for 12 minutes or for 11 minutes. I usually go halfway in between, and then I judge from there whether it needs to be done a little bit more by looking at the cookie. So we'll let them bake. So we're going to take a look at our cookies and see how they came out. Oh yes, those are done nicely. And notice how the powdered sugar, since we put it a nice thick coat, has stayed on the cookie. So we'll let them cool off for about 5 minutes on the pan, and then we can put them on a plate. So I put 2 pans in the oven this time. And when you put 2 pans in the oven, put your cooking time at half, which would be 6 minutes for this cookie. And the reason why is because halfway through, we're going to switch the pans from the top layer goes to the bottom goes to the top. And the reason we want to do that is when you have, if you keep them on the same rack all the way through. The bottom ones will get 2 done on the bottom, the top ones will get 2 done on the top, and they won't be evenly cooked. And this gives them the opportunity to get evenly cooked all around. Now we're going to switch our pans like I told you. Top goes on bottom, bottom goes on top. Close our oven again, and 6 more minutes. So our cookies are done and they're cooled, so let's give them a try. Nice and chocolatey. Definitely a double chocolate treat, because we've got chocolate in the dough, plus the chocolate chips. And don't forget, I put out a new video every Friday, so see BakeWithMom.com every Friday, and you'll have a new recipe to try out. Enjoy! Hi, I'm Susan with BakeWithMom.com. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can learn to bake something new every Friday. Check out this video here, and this one here. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. You know you want to learn how to bake. You want to bake these cookies because they're awesome. You want to bake that bread and this cake, so make sure you subscribe to my channel.